1230 WBVP. Now, here's the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
On the occasional Friday, and I say occasional because we'll get you caught up with what's been happening, Matthew Modany comes by, and the theory in the beginning was we were going to talk about real estate because that's what you do. But I noticed this the first time, and you can notice this too if you go online. We're live feeding this. Third hour of Something to Crow About. I'm Eddie Crow. Matthew Modany is sitting here with me. You come in. You've got 8 hours worth of material prepared in front of you. So I got nothing that I can contribute. Welcome to the Matthew Modany Show. Because off the air, we were just talking about, we're going to talk about real estate. We're going to talk about sports because I know you dig sports.
Oh, yeah.
I got questions about sports for you.
We got plenty to talk about since I was here last.
Well, that brings that up. Since you were here last, yeah, I hadn't seen you the new year. This is the first visit. Did we do December?
We did not.
That's okay, so it's been November. Good to see you, man.
It's great to be back, Eddie. Thank you.
All right, what are we talking about on this good news show?
Oh, we're going to try to start everyone's weekend off on a high note here. We got some fun real estate stuff to talk about.
Is it a good time to buy? Is it a bad time to buy? What changed when the presidency changed for you?
With the inauguration, it's still a little too soon to see. You got to give that a little bit more time. But for our local area, it's always a good time to invest in real estate. So I'm actually going to touch on that in a little bit here. My wisecrack about a New Year's resolution that'll actually stick.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a fun story to share with the listeners when we get to that today, and help you with some advice on a New Year's resolution that might actually stick around for more than a month or two.
Last Friday was Give Up Friday. That's when most people say, yeah, I'm out. But you got one you think's going to stick.
Well, for the listeners, not for me personally. I'm
Did you
same
make
me
any?
Every year.
Did you make one?
I did not.
Okay.
I never do.
Just because you're so comfortable with, the last year was okay, so we're good to go.
Yeah, that old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I made it through the previous 32 years, and I guess I'll just keep the streak going.
Matthew Modany is well, it's not my guest, it's his show. It's good news. If I remember going through it many years ago, buying my first house or starting to plan to buy my first house, I remember this is about when we started. We weren't getting involved with realtors yet, but we were driving by houses because I remember the snow. Tis the season to start looking.
It is. I have a lot of people that have already called me a few weeks into the year that, they have jobs starting in the summer or kids, finishing school, leases expiring, and nowadays you need...
I didn't even think about leases.
Oh, yeah. I actually have two first-time buyer stories that I'm going to share in a little bit here, but they both have leases expiring this summer, and I was actually able to get both of them under agreement on homes just in the last week. So we are getting a lot of calls already, with people that need to move by the summer, and it's definitely not too early to start planning.
Are the banks more open than the memes would suggest? Because, Matthew, you know this. You'll see a meme that says, I'm paying $1,500 in rent, and the bank says I can't afford $1,100 in mortgage payments.
I do. I think that that's one of those common myths of real estate that if your rent's $1,500 and you got to have 3 times for that you got no hope of getting approved for a loan. And
what's 3 times? Is that the equation they tell you?
Well, I haven't been a renter in a while, but I know that's still the common line that I hear is, if your rent's $1,000 a month, they want you to bring in 3 times that much.
You're talking about bring in gross salary monthly?
Yeah, income.
Okay,
yeah,
so you need to make 3 times what your rent is for the bank to pay attention to you, but that's not necessarily true.
No, it's not. And I'll give you the example, one of the stories I'm going to touch on, and I guess I could just get into it right now.
Sure.
But I get a lot of people that call me this time of year, first-time buyers who say, yeah, I want to buy my first home this year. That's my New Year's resolution. And I've been hearing that for years, and, it's one of my favorite things that comes back around every January because, the fad diets and that Planet Fitness membership typically don't get their money's worth past February, and your new hobbies extreme.
I'm gonna undo a year's worth of bad decisions in a month.
Yeah, and your extreme hobbies that you're going to take up, like hot yoga or upside down basket weaving. It's not going to get you anywhere. But with refund tax time coming up here, you get a lot of people saying, I'm going to take that money and I'm going to invest it in a home, whether it's for myself or for my first investment property. Real estate's always a good investment in our area. It's one of the few things that you buy that not only improves your quality of life, but financially, it's a proven appreciating asset. It's an investment, no matter if it's for you or as a rental and investment property.
Do more people call you wanting to buy to live there, or do more people call wanting to buy to turn it into a rental? Is the rental property market going up?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a demand for that because a lot of people don't dig the hotel complex living situation. They'd rather have a house or a townhouse.
By the month places.
Yeah, just the places that are 6-story apartment buildings. People don't get into that. I know a lot of people prefer to rent where they might have a driveway, a yard, a garage. So a lot of times with that, renters are looking for a single family home that's typically owned by an individual landlord.
What? I know this, you can at best give me a general number, but you would know this as a real estate agent. Matthew Modany is my guest. I buy a house to rent. My mortgage on that house is $1,000 a month. How much am I going to have to charge rent to make it worth my time, or to not go in the hole, or to make a decent profit?
It can differ. I'm one of those people. I don't like to spitball numbers out there, because with real estate, so much of it's case by case. So if somebody comes to me, says they want to buy their first investment property, we figure out what areas we're looking at, what homes are selling for there.
And that's a huge part of it.
It is. Area is a big part of it, because there's a big difference between, my hometown of Midland and where my office is in Moon Township. Home prices, rent prices are drastically different. So that can definitely change the plans as far as numbers go.
Are the prices in Midland going up? I've been talking a couple different times this week about Midland specifically. It seems like it's on the up.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I've lived there basically my whole life, and there's been numerous changes over the years. But right now, I tell all my clients that I work with, Midland is one of the better kept secrets in Beaver County. It's a place where you can still buy affordable housing. It's a nice, safe community, great for walking around. The one thing we lack, I'm upfront with people, not the most convenient place to live. You got to drive to the grocery store and, things like that. But, it's a hidden secret. And, all the people that I've helped over the years buy homes in my hometown, they buy them and they stay long-term, as long as they absolutely can, whether work or family reasons finally force them to move. But people get into Midland and they tend to stay because of, again, the value there. So if you're okay driving to Giant Eagle and Walmart 15 minutes, it's a really great place to live and one of the few affordable places compared to what people are seeing in areas like Allegheny County.
The 15-minute drive is well worth the savings, is that's what you're saying?
Oh, to me, yeah. I mean, I guess my perspective's a little biased because I'm used to driving 25,000 miles a year. So my 15-minute drive to the grocery store doesn't even faze me. But I get it. If you live in Moon and everything's 5 minutes away, it can be a big adjustment, but the savings is very tempting.
Do you ever pitch the upside of the relative isolation? You mentioned Moon.
Yeah.
I have dear friends that have worked in Midland for 30 years. I know all about Midland. I used to live in Moon. I believe I'd rather drive further than dodge the traffic with the soccer moms in Moon, wouldn't you? Is that a selling point? It's not as congested? No, there's not as many stores, however.
Yeah, it can be for the right person. And I work all over Western PA, from the city out to Cranberry, Airport Region, Beaver County. So each area has its pros and cons. And I love Moon. I went to RMU. A lot of people know I'm an alumni from there. And
Bobby
my
Moe.
office, let's go Bobby Moe. And my office is in Moon. So there's, a ton of positives to that community. But, yeah, if you're someone who is really focused on the affordability factor and trying to avoid traffic. You know, Beaver County offers you a lot of reprieve, especially an area like Midland that's a little more secluded.
How unusual is that one county can have so many different types of vibe?
It is really interesting. I've helped a lot of out-of-state clients over the years, and just a couple months ago before Christmas, I had spoke with a lady, and her family is planning to move here this summer from, I want to say, Texas, and she just said how interesting but kind of overwhelming it is for an out-of-towner to come here and research buying a home and realize how many different communities and neighborhoods there are in Western PA and how vastly different they can be. You have rural communities, you know, very city-feeling communities, many different suburbs. So I've heard that a lot of times with my out-of-town folks that move here, and even those that, you know, maybe aren't as well-traveled around Western PA. Once they get out and start looking at different areas, it really hits them. It
hit me years ago when we moved here in the mid-'90s, Matthew. I remember looking around going, okay, I'm in a different town than I was. I drove 3 minutes.
Yep.
I'm in a different town again. I drove it, and every one of them is different. As a realtor, is that good to have all those options condensed, or can it be overwhelming for some people?
I think for someone like me that's, you know, born and raised here, I'm lucky because I have that local knowledge growing up. So for me, whether I'm helping someone from the area or from out of town, I've got that knowledge that you only acquire over 3 decades being here.
Growing up here.
Yeah. I think it would be tough for someone to come here from out of town and start a real estate business without the local knowledge, without the personal connections. I think it would be doable, but it's more challenging. And I know a lot of people that have done it, but it's a different path. But yeah, for me, I actually look at it as a bonus because our area is always ranked as one of the best to own real estate versus renting, and knowing all those different neighborhoods. Western PA has something to offer everybody, whether you're a hunter, if you're a city person, if you're, you know, a suburban soccer mom. We've got a neighborhood for all different types.
If you're a suburban soccer mom, your location is the middle of the main drag going through Beaver, backing out while holding your phone with your shoulder and trying to not spill your drink.
Don't get me started on the spilling the drink thing. If you
No, it's your show. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to share a quick one.
Okay.
Starbucks, I think, got new cups and new lids to start the new year. I haven't been there in a few weeks.
Okay.
And just yesterday, I picked up coffee for me and a coworker, and the lid, you know, they hand me the coffee through the drive-thru. Lid pops right off. You know, half of a large coffee spills
That's a lawsuit
all over.
right there, baby.
Oh, man, I know. I felt like Kramer from Seinfeld, and I should have followed up on that. But, yeah, hot coffee all over my hand, all over, you know, the center console of my vehicle. And just to make it sweeter, they hand me a new one, and thank God I was much more careful, but it did the same thing. So anyone going to Starbucks, orders hot drinks, be careful. I think the new lids are a little faulty.
Check it. Why did they change lids? What was wrong with the See, I don't go there, but why? What's the point of changing lids?
You'd have to ask them, but all I know is, you know, one's, you know, an accident, it happens, but 2 in a row, seems like maybe they're not as good as the previous ones, and that's a little pet peeve. Like, please don't spill my $6 hot coffee all over my hand in my car.
You're much more optimistic. You're thinking it's an industrial issue. They got the lids wrong. The second one spills on me. I'm thinking they got a personal issue with me.
Maybe. I thought I was pretty nice. I usually am through the drive-thru.
Okay.
But yeah. Product warning in the show today. Be careful with hot drinks at Starbucks.
Matthew Modany, it's his show. That's maybe the first time I've ever heard you not be openly complimentary about anything.
Yeah, you know.
Good. Well, we're talking about scalding your crotch. Let's go ahead and, if you're going to complain about something.
Yeah. So luckily I survived the ordeal. I'm still here in one piece, but not a fun way to start your morning, no.
No, it's a startler for sure. Tell people how to get a hold of you, and then now that we got you grousing about being scalded, after the news, I'm going to get you grousing because I know sports are a passion of yours. How do people get a hold of you?
For sure. If you have any questions on real estate, buying, selling, building homes, you can reach me at 724-312-2888. You can text or call anytime. You can also check out my website, movewithmodany.com.
Going to get him wound up after the news. Hang on.
If you own a company or a small business, you might have considered advertising on radio. It's smart because radio is still the most far-reaching media outlet today. WBVP and WMBA can get you results. Get more information at beavercountyradio.com.
Looking for home services? Call Patriot Home Care in Beaver Falls. Their staff provides company, conversation, and companionship to all patients, ensuring medications are taken on time, participating in fun community activities, personal care, meal prep, and light household work are all services provided by Patriot Home Care, all thanks to the hardworking and selfless team members. Call Patriot Home Care at 724-506-8911 or stop in Patriot Home Care, 1225 7th Avenue, Beaver Falls.
It's a new year. Maybe it's time for a new vehicle from Falcone's Moon Township Ford. Your welcome will always be warm and inviting when you visit Moon Township Ford. The easiest resolution to keep this year is the resolution for better transportation. That's because Falcone's Moon Township Ford has made a resolution themselves. A resolution that is to provide the very best selection, the very best service, and the very best pricing in the entire area. Start the year off right for even less when you qualify for first responder, military, or college student purchase programs. Visit moontownshipford.net to find out more, or make a resolution yourself to visit the state-of-the-art showroom located on University Boulevard across from Robert Morris. Moon Township Ford has over 150 cars, trucks, crossovers, and SUVs in stock to choose from right now. Resolve for a bright and prosperous new year by starting off in a bright and beautiful vehicle from Moon Township Ford.
Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends.
I'm Patty.
And I'm Bob. We're retired, and we live at St. Barnabas in the Village.
We used to have a house.
Lived in it for 40 years.
Raised our kids.
But it became too much. The upkeep, the stairs.
Moving seemed like such a hassle. We didn't even know where to start, so we didn't.
Until we met Cindy at St. Barnabas.
She talked us through our options.
Yeah, and she helped us with our move and all the arrangements.
There was so much stuff. Who knew we had 3 fondue pots?
But she made it easy.
So easy.
Now we enjoy ourselves.
Golf, the pool, new friends, shuttles to where we want to go.
The pub and the food.
So good.
There wasn't a long-term commitment or any large fees.
And they have a healthcare system on campus with doctors if we need it. The kids really like that.
The kids like to come and eat with us.
There's an easier, worry-free way to retire at the Village at St. Barnabas. Come visit us for a free and informative counseling session and personal tour.
I can't believe you waited so long.
I can't believe you waited so long.
Visit stbarnabashealthsystem.com or call 724-443-0700.
Sometimes the holidays can last a little too long, but usually it's no big deal if you discover a leftover fruitcake in your refrigerator, even if it's after Memorial Day. You just toss it out and move on with life. This is Pat Travail from Freedom United Federal Credit Union. On the other hand, high interest charges from store credit cards can really start to stink too. The fact is, if you don't deal with it now, you might still have some of this year's Christmas rotting away in your budget, like a cookie tray that's been left uncovered far into the next year. With approved credit, you can transfer your existing balances to our low fixed-rate Visa card now and put freedom in your future. Don't let the holidays linger. Throw the high-rate credit cards out with the eggnog that's gone bad. Visit Freedom United Federal Credit Union, member NCUA, equal housing lender.
Your success is our success. We belong to you.
Here is a question that's very easy to answer. Would you rather be sold something or get professional help and advice that ultimately leads to a strategy that best suits your needs? Tom Young at First Consultants Inc. in Beaver has a unique approach that has won over the trust of even the most skeptical clients.
Everybody that's selling is looking for a profit. I focus on creating strategies that are in the client's best interest.
Ask yourself this: what have you got to lose? The answer might be a fortune. Get financial strategies instead of a pitch about a product. Visit firstconsultantsinc.com or be a part of Tom Young's live simulcast presentation on the third Tuesday of each month beginning at 9:10 a.m. on Beaver County Radio and Facebook Live. All advisory services are offered through PL Wealth LLC. PL Wealth is a federally registered investment advisor. PL Wealth is in no way affiliated with First Consultants Inc., nor is First Consultants Inc. a registered investment advisor.
County Radio's news source. 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and BeaverCountyRadio.com. Here's Noah Haswell.
Good morning on this Friday, January 24th of 2025. We will have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after we take this look at news. The Center Township Police Department is trying to determine the identity of a woman that was shopping in the Target in Center Township. The woman that the department is looking for was there between 5 and 5:30 p.m. on January 18th. An incident occurred involving another customer in the store, and the woman reported it to police but did not say her name. Please call 724-774-3329 if you have any information regarding this incident. Pennsylvania State Police in Beaver report that a single vehicle crash occurred on I-376 East on Thursday. At 7:20 a.m., 46-year-old Valerie McCracken of Beaver Falls was driving her 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander before the Brighton Township exit from the left lane to a medial covered with grass and snow. McCracken hit some guide rails on the left lane of the north side of the road. McCracken was charged by police for, quote, driving on roadways that were laned for traffic. On Thursday, the brackets for the Class 2A and 3A Team Wrestling Championships for the 2024-2025 WPIAL season were revealed. Both Central Valley and Moon area will compete in the preliminary matches to get into the first round on Monday, January 27th. On Wednesday, January 29th, Freedom area, Quaker Valley, and West Allegheny will compete in the first round. Overindulging in salt is bad for your health, and so too is the excessive use of road salt on the environment. Here's more from Danielle Smith.
Since 2020, PennDOT reports applying nearly 600,000 tons of salt to icy roads. Harry Campbell with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation says research by the U.S. Geological Survey has found streams throughout the nation are getting saltier by almost 40%. Campbell says that salty runoff is harming freshwater aquatic creatures and points out that a single teaspoon of rock salt can pollute 5 gallons of fresh water.
And those freshwater critters and creatures like the brook trout or the eastern hellbender are actually having toxic effects from that salt that is now in the waters.
Campbell highlights Winter Salt Awareness Week, which starts January 27th as a national effort to educate people about the environmental impacts of using road salt and promote safer alternatives. He says it's a chance for Pennsylvanians to learn better techniques for de-icing roads, bridges, sidewalks, and parking lots.
Both the NFL and Visit Pittsburgh announced that the 2026 NFL Draft will occur from April 23rd to 25th, 2026 in Pittsburgh. The NFL also made an announcement that the North Shore will host the event while both Acrisure Stadium and Point State Park will have elements of the city during the draft. The expected attendance for the event could make it the biggest event in the history of Pittsburgh for its visitors. Press Ganey gave Allegheny Health Network Wexford Hospital the 2024 Human Experience Guardian of Excellence Award in the category of Patient Experience. Press Ganey gave the hospital recognition for the third year in a row, and for the second year in a row, the inpatient care at the hospital was recognized. The same award was also given in the category of Patient Experience in the Emergency Department to Allegheny Health Network Harmar Neighborhood Hospital. Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano reports that the Little Free Food Pantry food drive will take place at House of Prayer Lutheran Church in Aliquippa on Saturday, January 25th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Volunteers will accept donations of canned goods and non-perishable food items. People that are in need in the area will receive replenished supplies and donations from this food drive. The TSA now has a new federal security director for both Pennsylvania and Delaware. Jerry Sparrow got appointed to the new position after being in federal service for 35 years. After 42 guns were intercepted at the Pittsburgh International Airport last year, Sparrow is reminding passengers that guns are not allowed in carry-on bags even if someone has a concealed carry permit.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
Partly sunny skies today. We'll see a high near 21. Cloudy tonight will drop down to a low around 8. Mostly cloudy and breezy tomorrow with a chance of snow through the overnight. Look for a high near 31 and a low around 26. Cloudy and breezy again on Sunday. We'll reach a high near 30 and a low of 16. And mostly sunny on Monday. We'll see a high in the mid-30s and a low around 26. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
That's a look at the news for now. I'm Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming live around the world at BeaverCountyRadio.com.
Are you ready? It's time to find out What is on the mind of Eddie Crow? It's something to crow about on Beaver County Radio, 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP. Now, here's the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
25 minutes till noon. Noon wraps up today's edition of Something to Crow About, and we're going out on a good note. Matthew Modany is my guest, and we're talking good news. I'm going to get you annoyed with bad news about sports in a second, but before the news, Matthew, you were going to tell us a story. This is live Facebook fed right now as well. Tell me the nice story, and then I'm going to get you ticked off about the Pirates. Let's get the nice out of the way before I wind you up again.
Yeah, is that like, good news before the bad news?
That's right.
Give it to me first.
Compliment sandwich.
Yes. No, I had a story I wanted to share when we were speaking earlier about this time of year. You get a lot of first-timers that reach out and say, this is the year I want to buy my first home. And I have two in particular that I'm helping right now, but the one is a really great success story, and I don't give names or addresses to, protect identities, but to give you the big picture, this buyer has been a long-time renter, and they're paying close to $900 a month for their rent in Beaver County. Very, typical apartment setting.
Nothing super-duper luxurious, nothing janky. That's about the right number, somewhere around $1,000.
Right. And, again, to keep it brief, but we were able to find her a home, and she's going to end up saving about $300 a month on her mortgage versus what her rent currently is. And on top of that, she was set up with one of my go-to lenders I've worked with for a long time, and people underestimate how many different programs and grants and things are out there for buyers. She was able to get some help from the lender and from the sellers as well. And she's basically going to be able to buy her first home for a total investment out of pocket about $1,500. And that's, talking about her deposit money, her appraisal, and a home inspection.
Okay, that's ridiculously low. And after that $1,500 out of pocket, she's saving $75 a week by owning her own place.
Yeah, I mean, she's saving about $300 a month on her monthly payment compared to her rent. And, this time of year, everybody's got their tax returns earmarked for something. And this buyer's basically going to be able to use hers to buy her first home and save money. And, it's a great success story. I'm really happy for her, and it's a nice place. But I tell these stories just to encourage people to call and reach out and see, because you don't know what's possible until you have that conversation with a real estate professional. And I always remind everybody the consultations are free. There's no commitment. So there's really no harm in reaching out if you're curious.
Don't tell me the name of the place if there's a place, but are there some places in Western PA that you say, no, I don't want to deal with the house in that neighborhood? You don't gotta you don't gotta rat them out.
Yeah, no, not really. My only limitation, I tell people, is what I can reasonably drive to so that I can service you properly. Mm-hmm. If something's an hour and 15 minutes away, that's tough for me, because if you need something, it's got to take up almost a whole day.
That's
to come
a half
help you.
day. Yeah, that's going there and back.
Yeah, so I mean, it is a case-by-case basis, but for the most part, I service anything within about 45 minutes of the Pittsburgh airport in every direction. So.
What is the most undervalued and underappreciated neighborhood in Beaver County when it comes to real estate? It's like, this place is way better than people maybe know.
I know we touched on it earlier. I think people really underestimate Midland. It's not on their radar.
Yeah.
But that would still be my number one choice. I think that it's not that it was a secret. I think more people are moving into Beaver County because of the affordability, because of, the lack of hustle and bustle, a little more laid back setting. So there's a lot of areas that are becoming more and more popular, and Midland still seems to kind of slide under the radar for now. We'll see how long that lasts.
How often do you bring up a property somewhere and the response is, oh my God, that's so far, and it's 9 miles?
Yeah, I get that a lot, especially with people that have been used to living in super convenient areas.
Mhm.
To them, 9 miles might be a week's worth of driving. But
Right.
for me, that's like, not even half a day. So
And a friend of mine grew up in Weirton, West Virginia, and he
Yep.
said when he got his driver's license, he was geeked because that meant he could come in and go to the city, and all of his friends were
Yep.
like, "Oh, that's forever far away."
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
people think the city's so far from Midland. I mean, barring some accidents, some shutdown on the highway. I
Yeah,
could
but
be
that's
in-
a safe bet that there's going to be a fender bender by
Yeah.
the time you get there.
Right, I always jinx myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I could leave my house and be in the city walking around within an hour. So, yeah.
All right, now I'm gonna. You bring good news once a month whenever you come in. Matthew Modany is my guest. Fix the Pirates.
I'd love to.
Go ahead. I just poked you with a stick.
Here's the problem with the Pirates. There's a story out there that there was a one of a kind.
The baseball card.
The baseball card, yes.
Yeah.
I knew you would know it.
The
but,
Skeens card.
Yeah, the Paul Skeens rookie autographed card. I think it has a patch of his debut jersey.
Mm.
One of a kind card, going to be worth obviously huge money in the future.
7 digits.
Yeah. And the Pirates had put out this story almost immediately for their trade offer for the card. And all puns intended, it would have been their biggest trade in probably 2 decades if they got this card. But they were offering, 20, 30 years of season tickets behind home plate. You get 2 of them, so you can bring your guests. You get a meet and greet with Paul Skeens, autographed jersey, a game of softball at PNC Park. So for a local Pittsburgh fan to find that card, it is a pretty sweet deal if you're not worried about what that card's going to be worth on the resale market in 10, 20 years. You could go, retire and buy your beach house with it. But it came out just the other day that an 11-year-old kid in California found it, which great for the kid. That's
Sure.
amazing that, a young collector got something like that they can hold on to, hopefully for a long, long time. But they're not going to take that Pirates deal. The Pirates are more worried about trading for a card than they are to get a player to help the real-life Paul Skeens.
Oh, my, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's
so
that in a nutshell right there. Or trade the card for a spell check program.
Yeah. It'd be nice if they could spell Andrew McCutcheon's name
How do
right
you
at
not
Pirates
know?
Fest.
How do you just...
Yeah.
All right, you're the parents of the 11-year-old kid that found the card. What are you telling the kid to do? I've got to think... They're calling me right now to offer me the card.
That'd be great, Eddie. Make sure to give me my finder's fee.
Oh, absolutely. Fair is fair. You're the parent of the 11-year-old. I'm sure they're going to have to sign off on something for something. What do you tell the kid? Because there's no if he's living in Cali, chances are the allegiance towards, your battling buckos is not particularly high.
No, but I think that what's great about a kid finding it, they have no concept of money. So to them, they got one of the most special cards in the world, and they're going to want to hold on to it. And I think that if the parents have some common sense, which I know is in rare supply nowadays,
True.
but you hold on to that, you put it in a special case, maybe lock it in a bank vault, and just let that thing appreciate over the years as Skeen's career is going to get more and more impressive. And you know what? When that kid gets to be college age, he can go to college anywhere he wants on that card.
On a
or
piece of cardboard.
Yeah. Or you know what? Being the real estate guy, he can go buy a house anywhere he wants with that baseball card when he turns, 18 or 20.
Yeah. Do you know who did that? Not to completely drift. We're going to get back, and I'm going to make you mad about the Steelers in a second.
Oh, great.
There was an artist, R. Crumb.
Okay.
He traded a stack of his drawings for a chalet in France.
I'd never heard that story.
Just straight up. Oh, he was a complete lunatic. You'd recognize the work.
Okay.
You would recognize the artist named R. Crumb, absolute lunatic, and the least insane of his family. But he traded a portfolio of just sketches for a chalet.
Yeah, I don't know if the card will ever buy a chalet in France, but
Right.
it'll definitely buy you a nice home almost anywhere in the country when that kid becomes old enough to buy a place. So, I think it's great that a kid found it, and obviously he's not going to be taking the Pirates trade offer. So
No.
maybe they can start spell checking their future Hall of Fame players' names and find somebody to actually hit a few balls for Paul Skeens this year, and hopefully he won't have to battle to a 1-0 or 2-1 victory every outing.
Yeah, and it was so sad. He'd leave the game. He's up 2-1, and you're like me. You're just shaking your head, going, "Yeah, he's going to be mad." And sure enough, there was one guy came in from the bullpen. Every time he came in,
yeah,
he got boat raced. He'd come in with a 2-1. I'm drawing a blank on the name. Come in with 2-1 lead, get taken out. It's 7-2, and. All right.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I turned on a game and, to give props to the rest of that rotation. They have one of the best young rotations in the league, and
told the bullpen.
They got the golden ticket and won't cash it in. Put a little bit of effort into rounding out that lineup. You've got the arms, and yes, the bullpen was very questionable last year, but man, they've got so much potential that they just won't cash in on. So we'll see what happens this year. I'm very, very cautiously optimistic, or for the fans of The Office out there, I'm ready to be hurt again.
All right. What frustrates you the most? Penguins right now? Pirates continuing right now? Or the Steelers going down that continuing relative adequacy? We didn't have a losing season right now.
Yeah, my pick's got to be our Steelers. And I got to ask you, Eddie, when did the fan base become so okay with better than average? And maybe it's just me, but the years that I saw a little more up and down, I'd much rather see them have a couple 5-6 win seasons thrown in there to lead to a couple AFC championship appearances more than every 15 years. So now all of a sudden, that mushy middle every single season has become the standard. The standard is the mushy middle, and for whatever reason, they seem terrified of the up and down that is normal in the course of a championship team.
Do you think Steelers fans would tolerate 3 years of god-awful? Because that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That moderate, you're going to be there forever, but you're never going to be bad enough to get draft picks to make you good enough to be above moderate.
Yeah.
As a fan, you'd say, okay, get your brains kicked in for like 3 years, and then we'll go back up.
Has it really been that long since they drafted future Hall of Famer Ben Roethlisberger? And does anyone remember how bad we were before they had that first-round pick? That's what happens.
Sidney Crosby with the Pens, same thing.
Sidney Crosby,
Yeah.
in a matter of a handful of years. Yes. The Penguins stunk for a while, and then all of a sudden in 3 years they had Marc-Andre Fleury, Sidney Crosby, and Evgeny Malkin, 3 future Hall of Famers, 3 of the top 100 players of all time in that league. You drafted them in a matter of a handful of years. The Steelers haven't been right since they lost their Hall of Fame quarterback, and a lot of people make the argument, did he carry the workload? Was it more of a 50-50 combo with the coaching staff? But slowly but surely, that Cowher team lost players, lost leaders, lost their Hall of Fame quarterback, and it just hasn't looked the same in the last 7 years. I mean, if you're a stats guy, and I know you are, this is the longest that they've went without a playoff run, going all the way back to Chuck Noll. Coach Tomlin has now officially went longer without a playoff win than Cowher or Noll ever did. And let's be honest, it doesn't look like it's changing anytime soon. They went from, what were they, 10-3, lost 5 in a row, got embarrassed in the playoffs again.
They had Pitt's season. They whooped everybody's butt the first half of the season, and then got whooped the second half of the season.
And let's be honest, with Pitt and with the Steelers, they didn't have a lot of competition that first half. When things got real, the team collapsed. And it's just amazing. If it was any other franchise, I don't care, the Chiefs or whoever, 5 losses in a row, 8 years of getting embarrassed in the first round, no coach survives that. If you can move on from Bill Belichick and you can move on from Andy Reid, who two of the all-time great coaches. I'll give them props. Nobody is untouchable, and that includes Coach Tomlin, and his resume at this point is extremely front-loaded. The success stories he has over the last dozen years are few and far between.
Yeah, but you're the Steelers. This is only the third coach you've had since the Stone Age.
That's great, and I do think a big part of their consistency is continuity, but everything reaches their limit. I mean, you don't just have, carte blanche to coach until you decide to retire. At what point, how long are they willing to give it until the Steelers become a much more expensive version of the Pirates, where you're just okay knowing that you're probably not going to make the playoffs. If you do, you're going to get embarrassed in the first round. But it's fun to go to games, and they have giveaways, and, they're on that road. I'm not ready to call them the Pirates yet, but it's been a decade almost, and they're heading there.
Are Pittsburgh sports fans, Steelers, Pirates, Penguins, are they spoiled? Because, talking about the Penguins,
yeah,
you got 3 Hall of Famers, and then the one before that owned the team. And there are organizations that have never had any point of their history so jacked.
This is, and it's no secret if you've tuned in before, Eddie knows I'm a big hockey guy. The Penguins are my top team. I think Penguin fans are spoiled because we've had some of the best players of all time on our team over the last 3 decades. Won Stanley Cups, scoring titles, MVPs, everything you can think of, Olympic gold medals, and
World Championship medals.
World Championships.
Yeah.
Now they got the Four Nations coming up this month or February. I do think Penguin fans are spoiled, and I think they need to realize that it is okay and even necessary to be bad for a few years to be a legit competitor again, like we were for the better part of the last 30 years. But with Steeler and Pirate fans, I don't think so. I think Pirate fans have suffered more than long enough to expect a team to compete legitimately. It's long overdue.
What's the definition of legitimately?
I want to go
again, subjectively, the Steelers, they made the playoffs. A lot of teams didn't make the playoffs.
They didn't make the playoffs, but the Steelers are a different tier of organization. You know
expectations are higher.
Yes, and that's the thing, is that's not being spoiled. I mean, when you're a team that's at the top tier and you go a decade without a playoff success story, and really more than a dozen years since you've legitimately competed for a Super Bowl win, I don't think it's unreasonable. I think they've been on the slide more than long enough, and it's time to rip the Band-Aid off and do what you got to do to be good again. And that top tier of NHL franchises, your Steelers, your Cowboys, Patriots, Chiefs, more recently the Chiefs. But when people look at you as a time and time again successful organization, especially over multiple decades, it's not good enough to just be better than average and make the playoffs every year to get absolutely embarrassed. I mean, not even a close game.
Legends are never happy with being pretty good.
Yes. It's okay for, the Jaguars to not make the playoffs or make it every year.
The Bengals, the Browns.
It's not the same level of organization. And, we have one. I'm not a fan. I don't like them, but give the Ravens props. They're competitive almost every year. They're up there with those top-tier organizations. So
they can talk about championship runs, and it's a legitimate conversation.
Somebody brought it up to me the other day. How long does it take before people start looking at the Steelers like the Giants? A longtime great franchise that hasn't been the same since their Hall of Fame quarterback won them a couple Super Bowls. We're there right now, I feel like, but maybe I wouldn't put us in the Giants spot. They've had a couple, 3-4 win seasons that we haven't, but
that's the downswing that got them, that gets you back up because of draft picks. And
so watch in a few years when they have, the big time weapons that we struggle to replace.
What did we not get to? Because we get to everything. Matthew Modany comes in one Friday a month, and we just sit and do this, and I have a blast. Do you really want to go to the auto show? I just looked at your notes. Do you really want to go to the auto show?
I do.
The convention center.
Yes. While we have the time,
Oof.
there's two things I want to hit before we wrap up. First,
Okay.
you know I'm a local guy. Realtors are like a local business ourselves. So I always do my spotlight of somebody I know. I want to give a shout out to Nick's High Performance Auto in Midland. Great locally owned and operated family business. Right on the main street of Midland. Next to Lincoln Park. So if you are looking for somewhere, get your inspection done, tires, brakes, repairs, upgrades. These guys are great. You know how it is in the auto industry. They're very honest. They're upfront with you, good, bad news.
You find somebody that's honest, you stick with them.
100%.
Yeah.
I've heard enough horror stories about the big chain places and the big dealerships, so can't recommend them enough. If you need some car upgrades, repairs, inspections, check out Nick's Auto in Midland. Great family-owned business, very honest, and you're going to have a better experience than going to your big dealers or chain locations.
All right, you're going to the auto show, which is coming up middle of February, David L. Lawrence Convention Center, the absolute hell that is getting in and out of that place. What are you looking for?
It's a nightmare, I won't lie.
Once you get there, it's cool, but it's an unholy terror to get in and out.
Yeah, once you get parked down there, it's not bad. It's tough for the auto show because anyone who goes knows it comes to Pittsburgh every February like clockwork. I love it. It's a great show. I'm a car guy, but that time of year, the weather's rough, so you can't exactly park a few blocks away and walk, but I've done that before, and it's a tough journey with the weather. But I'll tell you, I paid off my vehicle in October, and
now you got the itch?
I got the itch.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it at least a year with no car payment, which would be next fall. But it's probably hurting my own mentality to go to the auto show and tempt myself. But
you're going to go and come back rolling in with something nice.
Oh yeah, I've got my eyes on a few things. The 4Runners, anyone that knows Toyota, they run forever.
Yeah.
I've got my eyes on the new 4Runner redesign. Looks very nice. What I like to call the Tahoe Light, the new Chevy Traverse.
Yeah.
Great little, slightly smaller looking Tahoe. And got a couple other ideas out there. I had a Lincoln previously, and I'm a big fan of Lincoln Ford as well, but have my eye on the Lincoln Aviator. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm going to go enjoy the show and try to look and not touch.
You're going to come rolling in next time with a brand new thing.
No, don't put that evil on me.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Don't you do it.
Oh, Matthew Modany's been my guy. It's great seeing you again, man. You'll be back in the new wheel, and by then the Steelers will sort things out, and it'll all be good.
Oh, yeah. Who are we kidding? We'll still be crying about the Steelers, but I'll be back fourth Friday next month and looking forward to it again, Eddie.
Excellent. Great seeing you again. Thank you so much. Hang on a second. Press the button. I pressed the button. See,
Press the button.
That's why I can't get a new car. There's too many buttons.
Looking for something that's more than just a job? Then